We are continuing the first session. For example, I ask you to inhale your breath for 10 seconds. And you inhale your breath for 10 seconds. And then and again I ask you to exhale your breath for 10 seconds. And you are exhaling your breath for 10 seconds. And I ask you to do the same thing for 10 times. And you do the exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, and you inhale for 10 seconds, exhale for 10 seconds, and you are doing it for 10 times. Then you need not do the same thing, and I ask you, you need not continue. Then what will happen? For 10 times, you are regulating your breath, inhaling 10 seconds, exhaling 10 seconds. And afterwards, you need not regulate your breath. Then what happens? The breathing will stop? No, it will not stop. But it will happen on its own. Your breathing will happen on its own. So in this way, our mind is also functioning like this. Through some meditation or anything, we are regulating our mind. We are set right our mind. We are keeping our mind under a control. So for the beginners, it is okay. But afterwards, we have to put down the mind in a natural process. So this has happened in the case of Buddha. All enlightened masters, some way or other, come across the same thing. It happened in their life. But they do not know what has happened to him. Unconsciously, they come to the same level, same kind of happening, same kind of experience. If you come across the life history of Ramana Maharishi, the same thing happens. When he was a boy, around 16 years of age, one day he got the fear of death. Normally, an ordinary person, if he has got the fear of death, what will he do? Naturally, he will do something to get away from the fear. But unnaturally, Ramana did some in a different manner. He accepted the fear of death. He accepted the fear of death wholeheartedly. Sometimes he may, in a position, for example, in his life history, you may come across the incidents of his early childhood. Sometimes, I think it may be within 1 year after the death of his own father, and the family position is not good. He was studying in some other place in the guardianship of some other persons. So his life may be somewhat good, may not be somewhat good. So he may be in a desperate condition. There may be a chance for it. So some way or other, he accepts the fear of death wholeheartedly. Let it be, death may come, let it come, and I accept the death wholeheartedly. So he dramatized the death experience. But the same thing happened for what happened to Buddha, the same thing happened to Ramana Maharishi also. So even though he keep himself in a receptive condition, receptive mode, the mind function on its own. It begins to function on its own. If he wants to be all right without any fear, then he will have some work on that aspect. But he has no work. He wholeheartedly accepts the function of his mind. He himself wholeheartedly accepts the fear. So the mind begins to function naturally. But this happens to in our cases also. We are having the same circumstances in many times. We are during many problem, some crucial problem. We may have the same function of mind, but we do not operate upon the different kind of function. We do not identify the different kind of function. But fortunately, Ramana Maharishi was able to recognize the different kind of function of his mind, as Buddha recognized. Ramana Maharishi also recognized the different kind of function of his mind. So he get away from the fear and he begins to live in a different form, in a different manner. So this happened in the case of Ramana Maharishi, in the case of Buddha also. And if you listen to the history of many masters, they will come across the same thing. For example, you may know something about J. Krishnamurti. During his childhood itself, he and his brother Nidya was taken by the Theosophical Society. They thought in his later period, he will become the master of the world. In the spiritual world, he will become a world teacher, and for that, the Theosophical Society has given him some special training for that. And he did many kind of yoga practices, some Kriya yogas, and he got many transcendental experiences, samadhi state, many spiritual experiences. But even then, he has not got the enlightenment. He is waiting for the enlightenment. But the enlightenment is evading. Even though he has got many spiritual experiences, ordinary people cannot get such kind of experiences, but he has got some special, because of some special training, he got some rare experiences. But he has not got the enlightenment, and he is waiting for the enlightenment. So at that time, his brother Nidya got some illness, and Krishnamurti himself is attending his brother. At that time, they have got some program. They are living at England, and they have got some program at Chennai, India, and they try to travel in a ship. But Krishnamurti declined that I cannot come because I have to attend my brother. At that time, they sought for a prophecy from a godly spirit. They used to have some such kind of prophecy, and they get some prophecy, and the prophecy told some angel or deity of the Theosophical Society told that nothing will happen to the brother of J. Krishnamurti, and Krishnamurti can travel for the program. and they relied upon the prophecy of the deity. They traveled. And when they are traveling on the middle of the sea in a ship, they got a telegram that his brother was very serious. But they do not know what they have to relay, whether to rely upon the telegram or to rely upon the prophecy of the deity. They confused. But during that period, another telegram arrived that his brother expired. So J. Krishnamurti totally collapsed. But he has the capacity. He can, at any time, he can go to samadhi state. If you sit meditation, he can simply go to samadhi state. Then he can be free from all worries of the world or worries of the death of his brother. He can simply go to samadhi state. But he did not prefer samadhi state. He accepted the sorrow of the death wholeheartedly, and he closed himself in a single room, and he kept himself wholeheartedly with the sorrow of his brother. One day or 2 days later, he come away from the room as a enlightened person. The same thing has happened. If you accept the function of your mind wholeheartedly, naturally the function will function in a different manner. It will function naturally. But when we try to design our mind, when we try to put something in our mind, so it is artificial. But when you happen some way or other, when the masters happen to accept his own mind in a function in a natural way. So if the mind function in the natural way, that is the liberation of the mind, that is the awakening of the mind, that is the enlightenment itself. But strictly speaking, it is not enlightenment, this is only liberation. But that is the highest state of this spiritual world. Actually, the reality, truth is very simple, very open. But only because of our many theories, many practices, many things, we make the thing as a complicated one. But actually the liberation, enlightenment is not at all a complicated one. It is not at all a rare one. It is a common one. But we have put many things upon them and make it suffocated. But it is very easy, it is very normal, it is open and it's a natural one. And all the masters of the spiritual world got the same thing some way or other as a happening. But most of the people, they do not know what has happened to them. They do not know the science behind the happening. But it is naturally the natural function of our mind is in the liberated state. But some way or other they have found out, but they do not know the science behind the liberation, the scientific behind the transformation of the mind. But all the masters say some way or other, they explain the thing, they try to communicate. And the communication, because they rely upon many philosophies, some old philosophies or some philosophy of other masters. So some way or other they have created some kind of philosophy, some kind of explanation. Thereby we are having something around the enlightenment and the liberation. But it is very open, it is very plain. There is no complication unless we make it complicated. But at the same time, we have to be simple, we have to be open. Then only we can understand the real implications behind the enlightenment and liberation. So most of us come to the spiritual world only because of our psychological problems, psychological stress. And every psychological happenings goes always transforming itself naturally. We need not correct anything. It corrects itself. For example, we take a vessel with some water is there, the water is very still. If we put our finger on the top of the still water, some ripple in the form of a wave will form. What we have to do to remove the wave of the water? If we smother our hand around the wave, another wave will come. If you leave it, it will settle on its own. You need not do anything. So in the same case, same thing is happening in our mind also. When we face some situation, some reaction will come in the form of some emotion. Whatever form, whatever come, it will go away naturally. You need not do anything. But whenever we do something, it will renew itself. The energy will be renewed. The emotion will be renewed. The psychological function will be renewed. But actually, we do not know the secret of leaving everything on its own. But in the psychological system is like that. Whatever comes, it will reflect, and the next moment it will go. But we think we have some duty to correct everything in the psychological world. In the psychological world, there is no duty for ourselves. For example, we are sitting in a park. In front of us, some huge tree is there. We look at the tree. The tree reflects upon our eyes, and we have the image of the tree on our eyes. And after looking at the tree, we turn our eyes to other place where some animal is moving, animal is going. Now, which image will reflect upon our eyes? When we look at the trees, the image of the trees will reflect upon our eyes. When we turn our eyes upon an animal, the reflection of the image of the tree will go away and the image of the animal will come. So our eyes are functioning moment by moment. Whatever it looks, it has the image of the object. If it turns away, the image of the other thing will come. The earlier thing will go away. So in this way, our ear will also function like this. If we have a sound of a bird, it will reflect upon our ear. The sound of the bird will hear through our ear. So if the bird stops singing, the sound of the ear also will go away. So it also functioning moment by moment. All our sensory organs will function moment by moment. So if the for example, if the even after the body stops singing, stops sounding, the sound will not go from our ear. That what is the meaning of that? The hearing system go down wrong. So the natural function, the healthy function of a sensory organ is that moment by moment it has to reply, it has to reflect whatever it is facing. The next moment it has to be free from the reflection. So that is the normal and natural function of our sensory organs. Our mind is also another sensory organ. Just like the 5 sensory organ, our mind is the 6th sensory organ. It has to, just like the other sensory organ, it has also the capacity to reflect whatever according to its capacity, it will reflect. Sometimes it may have some anger, sometimes it may happiness, whatever may be. It will reflect like that. But what is the difference between the other sensory organ and the mind is that in the mind some different kind of functioning is there. For example, we have some happiness, we want to be happy always. If we have some peace of mind in our mind, we want to be peaceful forever. If we have some fear or sorrow, we want to be without fear, without sorrow forever. We try to be without fear, we try to be without sorrow. So some effort is there. Some selection is there. For that, we are having some memory. And the memory pattern makes us to live like that, use the mind like that. Our mind, our memory says, this is good, this is bad, this I want to be forever, this I don't want to be anywhere. So in this way, we have a struggle within, we develop a struggle within our mind. But all this struggle are artificial. It is not natural. So the natural function of our mind is just like other sensory organ. The only thing is that we are select something, some pattern of life, some pattern of emotion. But the formation of the emotion is natural. Just like hearing a sound, just like feeling an image, just like feeling a taste, just like feeling hot or cold, the feeling of sorrow, anger, fear, everything is natural, just like a reflection. As the other sensory organ free from their reflection, our mind is also free from its reflection. It is natural process. We need not do anything. But when we feel we have to do something, we have some duty there, we enter there. Because of our entrance there, because of our conscious effort, we make the function of our mind in a complicated way. So we have no work in the psychological world. All the masters, some way or other, come to the state that we have no work psychologically. Buddha come to the state when he got the nirvana state or enlightenment or liberation, he find himself he has no work. Ramana Maharishi come to that state when he find himself no work. J. Krishnamurti also come to that state. So whoever may be the master, they will come to the state and find themselves that they have no work. So when we find no work there, the mind begins to function on its own. When the mind begins to function on its own, that is liberation. But we think liberation is a strange state. We are taught like that, we are imagined like that. But it is a scientific one. It is a practical one. It's an ordinary one. But we imagine it is a strange. But whenever we think it is a strange one, we have to search. We have to search again, life after life. We have to, endlessly we can search. But one day, after you put down yourself in a desperate condition, then only you will realize it is under your feet. It is everywhere, each and the very natural function of our mind is liberation. But an ordinary person will have an idea. The enlightenment is a different thing. It is a strange one. The liberation is a strange one. The awakening is a strange one. Thereby, we are expecting some strange experience. If you read the scripture, read the teachings, read the experience of many masters, along with this crucial experience, they will say some other thing also. One day I have felt the total universe is one. I feel myself nobody. What I feel, what I look, I feel myself everywhere. Someday somebody says that the thought has stopped. There was no thought. I was in a thoughtless state. So all these statements create some confusion. But that is an experience. All kind of experience is possible. Through some meditation, some period, some state, it is a state, some state of mind. Through some meditation, through some practices, at any time you can have this kind of marvelous experience, but the experience will come and go. But we think the masters will be always in the state. We imagine like that, but it is not like that. But they will come across such kind of experiences. But it will be a passing cloud. Just like a passing cloud, such a strange experience may also happen because of their practice. But it is a normal course. It is a normal way of experience. We may be in a thoughtless state for some times. But if you are in a thoughtless state forever, it would be in a samadhi state, it is all right. But in an ordinary way of life, if you are in a thoughtless state, many problems, you have to face many problems. But during my early period of my practice, I have practiced many kind of practices, many kind of meditations. I have done it for 40 years. I have come across many kind of experiences. I was also thought that if I was permanently in a blissful state, sometimes when I do meditation, sometimes some blissful state will occur. It will last for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Sometimes it may last within me for 10 days or 15 days. And gradually afterwards it will gradually disappear. And I thought, if it is possible for me to be permanently in the bliss consciousness, it is enlightenment. I think like that. And I practice many things, go to many masters, many teachings. And once I got the experience, blissful experience, and the experience of bliss has not gone away, has not go away from me. It permanently settled with me. 24 hours I was in the blissful state. Months after months, I was in the bliss. There was no problem because I am all right. Psychologically, I am all right. Whatever may be the problem in the external world, nothing will touch me. I was in a good state. So I thought I got enlightened. Because what I want to attain, I have attained. I want to attain the blissful state forever, and I attain the blissful state forever. Whether I have any problem, no problem. Whatever, but even when I have many problems in the external world, it will not touch my psychological factor. Psychologically, I was all right. I was in the blissful state. But when the days goes on, the blissful, I came to understand the real status of the bliss consciousness. It begins to destroy the health of my body. So that is the nature of the blissful state. So I begin to doubt. So if it is the highest state, if it is the good state, it has to be good in all respect. If it is destroying the health of our body, so how can we rely upon the state? So if I remove the state from me, I cannot survive. So that was the position. I have to reconsider my approach. So gradually I begins to remove the bliss consciousness from me, gradually send it away, and we land in the ordinary state. When I was away from the bliss consciousness, so ordinary problem will hit me. Ordinary problem will affect me. Create some problem, create some pain within me. When I was in the bliss state, no pain. Every time I am in a blissful state, nothing will affect. But when I became an ordinary man once again, all the little problem, all the minor problems begins to affect me. So then afterwards I was in a confusion what to do. So in that situation alone, I know the natural function of our mind. I have to accept the natural function of mind as the other masters understood. And whenever I understand that I have to accept the function of the mind in a natural way, then when we understand myself, I feel this is the real understanding. When I understand myself in this natural way, afterwards when I look at the other master, all the masters came the same way, in the same level, in the same route. All got the same understanding, all got the same result in the same way. But the only thing is that the explanation, some description of the attainment, description of the enlightenment liberation is only in a different state, in a different way. That alone creates some confusion. Otherwise, the matter is very simple, very ordinary. There is no problem, there is no hurdle. So if you want to do something, then you have to work. But here there is no work for ourselves. We have to understand that there is no work on our part. The very understanding that we have no work on our part is known as enlightenment. And if we come to the conclusion like this, we allow the mind to function on its own. Otherwise, we will not allow. We will do something. We will try to manufacture it. We try to create something. We try to decide some design upon that. But when we understand we have no work on our part with related to the psychological world, psychological function of our mind, we leave the mind on its own. We place the mind on its own. So if we leave the mind on its own, if we place the mind on its own, the mind functions on its own. The very function of the mind on its own is known as liberation. But the understanding that we have no work upon the mind is enlightenment. This is pure science. Anybody can understand. But if you expect some good experience forever, this experience is nice, this experience is good, then we have to prefer yoga practices, meditation. But the liberation and enlightenment is different. It has no connection with the meditation practices. It has no connection with the experiences. But there are experiences. There are many great experiences, strange experiences. There are many things. I am not denying it. But whatever comes, that has to go. That is the healthy state of experience. If any experience takes time to go away from you, it will destroy the health. All experience is a kind of chemical change created in our body. Even it is a bliss consciousness, it is a kind of chemical change, some chemical reaction within our body. So if the chemical reaction is continuous, it will naturally affect the health of the body. Then one person at Chennai, he got the bliss consciousness like me, and he was blissful. And slowly he got some boils throughout his body and he was hospitalized. But he did not feel any problem, he did not feel any pain, even though he was hospitalized. And slowly he died. But no pain for him. And one person, he got some interest upon our teaching. He is also Chennai. And he also told me about his experience. I feel myself throughout the world. For now, I have the feeling of my experience throughout the room, and slowly I feel myself even beyond the room, and I have the experience like this. And I asked him, "Are you interested upon this experience? And if you are interested, slowly you have to be free from that experience. It may be good, it may look good, but it is not really good. You slowly get down from this experience." But I have no message from him, and later I heard that he has also died because of some disease. But the experience, whatever may be, it may be a good thing. But time being, it is okay. It may be helpful. It may be helpful even for the health itself. If it's coming and going, it may be good. You may have a good sleep, good health. It may help for your health. But it is very strong. If it is forever, it is not good. But most of the people are thinking that enlightenment and liberation is a strange experience like this. But really it is not so. You may hear a Zen story. And two youngsters want to join in a Zen monastery, and they, on their reception, the master of the monastery asked them, "What kind of drink you want to have? Do you want to have the greatest drink of the monastery, or some fruit juice on your choice?" And the two youngsters do not know anything about the drinks of the monastery, greatest drink of the monastery. They also know something about the fruit juice, but they do not know anything about the greatest drink of the monastery. So they prefer, I would like to have the greatest drink of the monastery, because we have already taken many juice, but I do not know what kind of drink you are offering. So please give the greatest drink of the monastery, they asked. But they were given plain water. This is the greatest drink of our monastery. So the two aspirants thought the master had deceived them. The next day also the same thing happened. What kind of drinks you want to have? The greatest drink of the monastery or some fruit juice? The master asked. The aspirants, the visitors were very shrewd. So they preferred fruit juice instead of the greatest drink of the monastery. So they were offered fruit juice according to their choice. But afterwards what happened is that whenever they are thirsty, fruit juice alone was served, but they were forbidden to give the water. No water is supplied, only fruit juice. Whenever they are thirsty, only fruit juice also was given for 1 week. But after 1 week, whenever they are offered fruit juice, they begin to vomit. So then the master asked, "Now what kind of drink you want to have?" the greatest drink of the monastery or your fruit juice on your choice. So the both them, so I'm sorry for master, please give the drink of the monastery. So what is the greatness in the water, plain water? Actually, fruit juice is good. It is tasty. What taste you are having for the plain water? But enlightenment and liberation is just like plain water. But we think it would be some great experience, some exciting experience. Thinking like that, we are deceiving ourselves. But whenever some persons may not have the good experience forever, or sometimes it comes and goes, doesn't matter. So they may derive, they may expect if the peaceful state, if the blissful state is forever, it is very good. It would be enlightenment. It would be liberation. They may think like that. They may dream like that. You may live the rest of your life in the dream world like this. Doesn't matter. But if you have the full swing of the experience, then only you will know the reality of the experience. So if you are come to the reality very early, it is good forever. It is good for all. If you want to have the blissful experience forever, then you have to try on meditation and practices and everything. Sometimes they will have some occult power. And one person in Chennai he is interested to know the future. I want to know what will be happen in the future. I must have the capacity like this. And he did some meditation for that. And after 12 years of practice, he succeeded in his venture. Now he know what will happen in the future. He has the capacity. And after getting success in his practice, he phoned his brother. After 12 years of practice, I succeeded my career. But unfortunately, I was caught in a trap. No one should try this way. Because if the future is in a good state, we may enjoy even in advance. But it may be some problem maybe in the future. Why should we have the problem in advance? So we will be in a tortured state. So in our area, one person will have some occult power. If you ask him to give sweet, he will put your hand upon you and give some sweets what you require. Whatever may be the sweet, some rare sweet he may offer you through happening like this and put the sweet to you. How much quantity you may ask, he will give you. After giving many things like this to the many persons, afterwards he will say, "Now I am very hungry. Please bring some food in a hotel or anywhere." But he cannot create anything for his own. So that is the curse. So in the occult powers, everything is real. It may be there. Some strange experience is good. Everything is there. It is not false. Everything is real. But all are useless. Not only useless, it is a cheat. They are cheating us. They are misleading us. So we have to beware of that. But the reality and the enlightenment, the liberation is our natural state. So if you select something in the name of power, in the name of experience, then we are entering into a wrong way, entering into a wrong route, selecting a wrong route. So if you select the wrong route, the destination also will be wrong. So after dashing our head and got injury alone, we have to return to the world, returning to the reality. But we have to be, if you are open, if you are serious, we have to be in the natural and the real one very early, very in advance. Actually, it is not only for the spiritual people. It is common. As an ordinary person must have some knowledge about the enlightenment liberation. So that is why now we are teaching the same syllabus but in a different name, but not in the name of enlightenment liberation, but in a different name. We are teaching the same thing for students itself. The students are understanding this. But this is purely psychological and purely scientific. So anyone can understand. So we have to understand, psychologically we have no duty. That we have to understand. The first thing we have to understand, that psychologically we have no duty. But at the same time, physical thing is different. Psychological thing is different. Tomorrow we have to discuss what is psychological, what is physical. Now today we are limit ourselves within the psychological matter. We are limit ourselves within the spiritual world alone. We are not dealing with the physical world. We are dealing with the psychological and spiritual world. When the spiritual world is concerned, in the psychological world is concerned, we have to understand. We have to inquire. We have no work here. The understanding is known as enlightenment. In the Vedanta scriptures, they used to say, there may be many yogic practices, there may be many sadhanas, but all sadhanas, all practices will lead you to the lost door. But the lost door for the liberation will open only because of inquiry, only because of self-inquiry. You may go up to the level of lost door. Many door may be there, and up to the lost door, you may travel because of many practices, many practices of yoga, many practices of something or other. But in the final door, it will not open because of your practices. because of our sadhanas. No philosophy, no practice, nothing will open the last door. The self-enquiry alone will open the last door. For example, we are here at Salem. We have to go to Chennai. How we are going to go to Chennai? We have to plan. Whether we have to take bus, whether we have to take train, whether we have to take flight. We have to plan. We have to plan first and then execute. But if you want to go to Salem, or if you want to go to the bhavan, what you have to do? You need not do anything. But whenever you are in the bhavan, you need not do anything. But at the same time, you have to find out that you are in the bhavan. You are in the bhavan itself. That you have to understand. For understanding, you have to inquire. Unless you inquire, you will not find out that you are in the destination itself. So here, it is said, as there are many doors, and up to the final door will open only when you have self-inquiry. That means, as if you are going to open door, actually there is no door at all. You are where you have to be there. You are in the final destination itself. But you have to inquire. Inquiry is good. You have to understand you have no work. If you understand that you have no work, that you are in the final state, in the final stage. The final stage is natural state. Our mind is functioning in the natural state. Only because of many ideas, many expectations, we are torturing the natural function of our mind. If we do not torture the natural function of our mind, the mind will function automatically. The mind will function naturally. The very natural function of the mind is known as the liberation. But whenever we are having the name, the liberation, we think we are a strange state apart from the natural function of the mind. But actually they mean only the natural function of our mind. It is an unfortunate thing for ourselves. We expect some other thing upon our natural state. So psychologically, we have no work. For example, we have some problem. We have to settle some dues tomorrow morning around $10,000 or anything. It's tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, we have to settle $10,000. But we have no money in our hand. So we are very tension. Whatever may be the process we tried, but there is no success. If we do not pay, if we do not pay the amount in the stipulated time, we have to face many problems. So in the night we have no sleep, we are restless, we are unable to take food. So ordinary person, what will do in that situation? An ordinary person, what will he do? He will take a bottle of drink. You will consume an alcohol and you will sleep peacefully or blissfully. Go to a blissful state. Or taking a sleeping dose and sleep freely. So taking the tablets, taking alcohol, is it to settle the dues? But it is to settle the psychological structure. To settle the psychological structure alone is taking the drinks, taking the drugs. Though to take some settlement with the psychological structure is the spiritual world. How to deal with the psychological structure is the spiritual world. Settling the dues, that is different. That is the physical world. So in the psychological world is concerned, what you have to do? So here, an ordinary person is doing the drugs or anything, and the spiritual persons are doing some meditation or other thing, and locked himself in a different state of mind. But it is a respectable state. It is a respectable alcohol. But basically both are same. But actually the liberation is when the mind is functioning in the natural state, whatever comes, it will throw away everything. If you see the running water of a stream, of a river, it purifies itself. Nothing will stay there. That is why our mind is in the natural stream, natural flowing. The natural flowing state of our mind is known as the liberation. In the natural state, nothing will stay. All worries will flow away. All worries, all problems will wash away. All knots will be washed away. But it is our natural state. But when we try to create a state within ourselves, whatever we create, it is an artificial state. It is against the nature. It is against the reality. But for the beginners it is okay. Nothing wrong. But I myself have practiced everything for 40 years. It is too much. For 1 or 2 years is justified. But if you understand, the mind itself is all right. If itself it is okay, everything is okay. It will look after itself. And we will discuss what is psychological, what is physical in more details in tomorrow morning. And then after the second session alone, if we ask some question, it will have some more clarification. If in the first session itself we may ask question, but it is not somewhat suitable. But if it is after the second session, it is well and good. So tomorrow after the second session, we'll have the discussion in a more elaborate way.